once again. I show that it's just a minute after 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Tarrant County. Hopefully you didn't have any trouble getting here. I know it's a Monday morning and we had a time change and we just threw all kinds of things at you this morning. I'm Gwen Peterson. I'm a senior buyer here for Tarrant County Purchasing. We'll start with some introductions. Diana Lee is in the back. She's a senior contracts administrator for purchasing. This is Teresa how do you say your name? Lobach. Her name's difficult. She's our hub program coordinator for Tarrant County Purchasing. Delbert Grigsby was in the sign-in area back there. You probably saw him. He's also with purchasing. And I'll let Mr. Manius introduce his staff, and then we'll go from there. It'll go back to me, and I'll go over some of the RFP information for you.
Thank you. Good morning. You know, I was at a function the other day, and when people didn't respond automatically, good morning, the speaker stepped back, tapped the mic to make sure it was on. It worked very well. But anyway, my name is G.K. Manius. I'm the county administrator here in Tarrant County. And let me introduce a couple of my staff members, Candace Petit and Megan South. And this is not one of my staff members, but he is a representative. I wished he was. That way I'd get to manage him a little bit. But this is our representative from John Peter Smith. Just a few things, and then I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll get going. If you have a question, first of all, today we're recording this, and it's going to be up on our website within the morning. Okay, so we're going to put it up just as soon as we complete this process. What we're going to ask you to do, if you have a question, then, and we encourage all questions, that we're going to have one of our staff members that will come over and give you a mic, and we would ask that you hold your question until you get the mic, because we do want to make sure that we capture your question, because it'll be reviewed and you'll be able to go back online and listen to the question and the response to that particular question. So with that, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, as you know, this is a mandatory pre-proposal conference, so Diana's kind of guarding the door back there. She may let people in, but they won't be allowed to sign in. So if you haven't already signed in, it's too late to sign in at this point. So just so you're aware of that, if you see people coming and going. Also, if you need to leave early, you need to let her know so she can remove your name from the sign-in sheet. You must stay the entire time today. All right, if you have any questions while I go through some of the information that I'm covering, please raise your hand. We'll go ahead and address those questions at that time. So just let me know if you have a question. Again, this is the mandatory pre-proposal conference for the long-range planning and facilities analysis related to the Tarrant County Hospital District doing business at JPS Health Network. This is the second RFP we've done. The first one was not a facilities analysis. That one was done in the spring and was awarded to Health Management Associates. And there will be more information regarding Health Management Associates in a little while. They are still going through that process and still working under that first RFP. They will not be responding to this RFP. They did help write some of the specifications for this RFP, but just so you know, they will not be responding to this RFP. All right, I will tell you the page number I'm on as I go through this, and I'm going to try, it's up on the screen, so I will scroll down so you can follow along with that as well. So, at the top of this page, this is page 2. On this RFP, we're asking for an original and 15 copies to be submitted. The 15 copies is for the evaluation committee. Please make sure you label the original as an original, and that one needs to have original signatures. Those are due on or before November 21st at 2 p.m. in the purchasing department. So 2:01, it's late, we can't accept it. So it's by 2 p.m. At the bottom of that page, the very last paragraph, I'm going to read this to you, and just so you know, you are expected to read all of the specifications. I'm just going to read some of the information to you that often trips people up, gets their proposals rejected for one reason or another. So I'm going to point out some of that information, but you need to read the entire thing yourself. The bottom of the page, no oral explanation by county officials or employees in regard to the meaning of the proposal specifications will be made, and no oral instructions will be given before the award of the contract. Requests from interested respondents for additional information or interpretation of the information included in the specifications, and all questions should be directed in writing via fax. And on the top of the next page, to me, the fax number's there. It's 817-884-2629. And we do get asked from time to time if they can submit questions via email. We do ask that you send them fax. You can also send them to me via email if you would like to, but you need to definitely send the fax. That's what's required in the RFP. The reason we ask for that, if I happen to be out of the office that day or something happens, I'm out for a few days, someone else can pick up that fax and get your questions answered for you. Okay? So make sure you send the fax. I know some of you don't have faxes at your home offices or whatnot, but Office Depot, Staples, Kinko's, all those people have faxes that you can use. Okay? The next paragraph. All documents related to this proposal, including but not limited to the proposal document, questions and their responses, addenda, and special notices will be posted under the proposal number on the Tarrant County website and available for download by interested parties. No documents will be faxed or emailed after the initial notice of intent prior to award. It is the respondent's sole responsibility to review this site and retrieve all related documents prior to the proposal due date. So if there happens to be an addendum, we will post that on the county website. You will need to go look for it before you submit your proposal. Addendums must be signed. I don't anticipate that there will be one, but if there is, sometimes we make the questions and responses an addendum if we think it is significant and changes something in the specifications, so make sure you go out and look for that on the website. Has everyone gone to our website and downloaded the RFP specifications? I know some people pick those up off of bid sites and that kind of thing, so make sure you go to the Tarrant County website. If you have any trouble finding where the information is, give me a call. My business cards are on the table out front. I will help you navigate and find that information the first time. Okay? The bid sites that sometimes post our RFPs don't post our addendums, so just make sure you go there to our website. The deadline for receipt of all questions is 12 noon Fort Worth time, Wednesday, November 9th. That's this Wednesday at noon. After the question deadline, all questions and their responses will be posted on the website and available for download by interested parties after the deadline for questions. So if you ask a question this morning, we will answer it to the best of our ability. If you want that question answered in writing, you will need to submit it in writing. If you think of something after this meeting that you want answered, make sure you submit that in writing as well. All right, next paragraph. Forms and questionnaires must be fully completed and included in your proposal forms. Forms that have been retyped or altered may result in rejection of proposal. Detailed specifications have been provided, and any deviations or exceptions must be referenced on the form provided. Unless deviations are specifically stated herein, services will be provided according to the specifications at no additional charge. So I'll point out the deviations page for you so you'll know where to put that information. Make sure when you're submitting your forms that you don't print them on your letterhead that has a confidentiality statement at the bottom of the page. Pricing cannot be considered confidential, so if you happen to print that on a page that has a confidentiality statement already pre-printed on it, you're saying that that's confidential. So make sure you're aware of that, Okay, skip one paragraph. It is the respondent's sole responsibility to print and review all pages of the proposal document, attachments, questions and responses, addenda, and special notices. The signature form must be signed and returned. Failure to provide signature on this form renders the proposal non-responsive. I will point out that page. Your proposal absolutely must be signed. If it's not signed, I can't accept it. We can't review it. You've spent hours of time doing probably a wonderful job preparing your response, and we can't even look at it. I can't send it to the evaluation committee. So make sure you sign your proposal. Okay? That's probably the most important thing I will say. Make sure you sign your proposal. Confidential information, there's a paragraph there on how to handle confidential information. If we've asked for something that is truly confidential, the page must be labeled confidential and it must be submitted in a separate envelope. You do need to still submit the 15 copies of that confidential information for the evaluation committee. So make sure you handle that correctly. Again, pricing cannot be considered confidential. Any questions so far? All right, moving on. On page 6, There's a big block there. I'm going to read that to you because it's very important. Respondent shall have no contact regarding this RFP with any known member of the Evaluation Committee, members of the Tarrant County Commissioners Court or their staff, members of the Tarrant County Hospital District doing business as JPS Health Network, Board of Managers or their staff, and any other Tarrant County elected officials prior to award. Any contact regarding this RFP may result in the respondent's disqualification and removal from consideration by the Tarrant County Commissioners Court. Contact may be initiated by the Tarrant County Purchasing Department for purposes of evaluation and clarification. The only contact should be facilitated by the Tarrant County Purchasing Department. Okay, so make sure you're aware of that. Any contact, any questions you have needs to go through the Tarrant County Purchasing Department. It needs to come to me or Diana. You need to submit it via fax or call our office and we can help you. You should not be asking JPS questions or the Tarrant County Administrator's Office, the Commissioner's Court. Any questions on any of that? All right. The top of page 7, this is your minimum insurance requirements that will be required for this RFP. Make sure you familiarize yourself with that. Prior to award, I will ask you for a current insurance certificate listing Tarrant County as additionally insured. The next page, criminal background check information. Make sure you're aware of that. Your staff will have to have a criminal background check, or could be required to have that. The top of page 9, this is a little bit of background information about the Tarrant County Hospital District. So make sure this is the start of the statement of work. Make sure you read all of the statement of work. Again, the next page is also some additional background information. I'm going to skip over that right now. Mr. Manius will probably cover some of that in his presentation in a few minutes. Then we go into the general scope of the work for this project. And then respondent qualifications. At the bottom of this page, page 12, the proposal submittal requirements. I do want to go over that a little bit. We are asking you to submit your proposal in a tabbed binder and in the order that we've listed. So tab 1, we want your respondent's experience and capability. And we've listed all the information we'd like for you to answer there. Tab 2 is qualifications of staff. Tab 3, project approach and management. Tab 4, vendor required contract, and that's a contract that you would require Tarrant County to sign. We typically don't develop our own contracts for this type of project, so if you have an SOW, a statement of work, that kind of thing that would outline what you would be doing for this project, that's what we're asking for there, what you want Tarrant County to sign should we engage you for this project. That will be subject to the Tarrant County District Attorney's review and may require changes. Tab 5 is all of the required forms. This is where your signature form and all the various references and the other forms will go. And that's your notebook. Section 4 is the proposal evaluation award. The evaluation criteria for this, there's many factors other than just price. The respondent's experience and capability is worth 25%. And if you'll notice, these are in the same order and follow the notebook that you're going to submit exactly. So the respondent's experience and capability is 25%. Qualifications of staff is 20%. Project approach and management is 25%. References is 5%. And price is 25%. Any questions so far on the evaluation? The evaluation committee will be a committee with Tarrant County Purchasing, the Administrator's Office, and JPS staff. And we may bring in other companies as well for that. All right, we do go through and tell you the approach. There will be an initial evaluation where we will evaluate exactly what you submit to us. And then we may contact you if we have additional questions or need more information. On page 16, we talk about how pricing will be evaluated. And then we may bring you in for oral presentations. We may ask for a best and final offer, and we may do contract negotiation. All right, with that, Teresa, this is Teresa.
Hi. Hi, I'm Teresa, and I am the Tarrant County Purchasing Hub Coordinator. If you're not familiar with what a hub is, it's a historically underutilized business. And starting on page 17, it gives you those definitions. And I'm just going to read through a couple of points of the hub program. My job, first off, though, I want to tell you, is maintaining our vendor database. If you have received your solicitation for this bid through a subscription or a job board, please take one of my cards and I will help you get registered in our system, and that way you'll be receiving that information directly from the county. We do have bids that are smaller. Anything less than $50,000 is not advertised, so it would never hit a subscription board. And so even if those smaller, the smaller jobs, it will put you in to be solicited for those as well. So if you have a log on and you have forgotten what it was, or you need help getting into our system, call me and let me know. If you need to register, call me and let me know, and my number and information is down here. I'm going to be turning, okay, now then, on page 17, the county is committed to promote full and equitable business opportunities for all businesses to supply the goods and services needed to support the mission and operation of the county government, and seeks to encourage use of historically underutilized businesses through the use of race, ethnic, and gender neutral means. It is the policy of Tarrant County to involve certified hubs to the greatest extent feasible in the county's procurement of goods, equipment, services, and construction projects while maintaining competition and quality of work standards. I know everybody thinks that their business is a historically underutilized business, but there is a certification for that. Tarrant County does recognize all certifications. I know that there are different people who have to have this one or that one to do business with them. At the county, we open it up to in-state and out-of-state certifications. So if you have any questions with your certifications or your sub-certifications, call me and we can go through that. The Commissioner's Court has set forth a 20% good faith effort that we recruit and put to work historically underutilized businesses. And we actively encourage that. It is nothing in the policy shall be construed to require the county to award other than to the lowest responsive bidder. And in this case, your evaluation is going to cover that. So if you are a hub, that's great, and we want you and we welcome you. If not, it's okay. There is a form that you will fill out, one of many in this whole process, and it is located on page 21. If you're not a hub, just draw a line through it, and that's it. If you are, I need you to fill out this information if you yourself are hub. And there should be an opportunity for you on any additional paperwork to state if you have and are going to project hub usage so that we can go ahead and track that. I do all of that tracking. I check all certifications, and I monitor the bids to make sure that everybody's still up to date with their hub certification. Does anybody have any questions? Well, good luck. Woohoo. I can answer questions regarding my policy, but I cannot answer questions regarding the request for proposals for long-range planning and facilities analysis related to the Tarrant County Hospital District DBA JPS Health Network. I just wanted to let you know. I will submit all of that to Gwen.
We're trying for the longest bid title here. We were shooting for that. I'm not sure if we won yet or not. Okay. So just so you know, we don't award any points in the RFP evaluation for minority participation. There's no points. That question usually comes up. We do track the purchases, but there are no extra points for that at the county level. So if you happen to be using a subcontractor that is a minority vendor, make sure you notate that when you tell us about your subcontractors. Okay? Page 22. And please forgive my voice. I had a cold a few weeks ago that was bad, and it's not too bad on the voice until I start talking a lot. So I didn't realize I was still having issues until this morning. Page 22 is references. You are required to submit references, and we do check references. And the second paragraph there, failure to supply required references will deem respondent as non-responsive, and it will not, and you will not be considered for award. Respondent involvement with reference checks is not permitted. Only Tarrant County and their designee will conduct reference checks. Any deviation to this will result in rejection of proposal. I have had a proposal recently where it looked great, but they failed to submit references. They just didn't submit the page. They got rejected. So just make sure you need to go out, you need to talk to your references, let them know that Tarrant County may be contacting them, probably will. So make sure you have good references, good contact information. I will not be contacting you and asking for that information. If you give me bad information, you will get a 0 for that reference. Okay? That's your responsibility to take care of. And we're telling you right now we need references. Okay? Any questions on references? All right, the proposal signature form is on page 24. It looks like this. As you notice, I've highlighted mine in pink where you need to sign. This is the form that absolutely must be signed. Again, we can't accept your proposal if you don't sign it. We even put a silly stop sign, which if you look online, it's in red. I just didn't print it in color, to make sure you signed your proposal. We get proposals every single week in purchasing, just about every single week, that aren't signed. And it's sometimes you can tell it's hours and hours of work that you've put in, and maybe a great proposal for us, but we can't even read it. So it's very serious. Make sure you sign your proposal. It happens every week. You would be shocked. Page number 26. Oh, there it is in red. See? Okay. Got a little delay there. Okay, on page 26, we talk about Form 1295. If you've done much business with government entities, you're probably familiar with Form 1295. That's a Texas Ethics Commission form that must be completed now. It must be completed online, signed, and notarized. So just make sure we've given you all the website information there. If you're not familiar with it, you probably need to be if you're going to be doing government business in Texas. I can't answer a whole lot of questions about that. We're kind of a facilitator for the Texas Ethics Commission on that. So just so you know. The next page, page 27. Okay. There it is. We've got a little bit of delay going on. This one is the compliance with federal and state laws. The top of the page, we talk about the certification of eligibility. This is stating that you're not on the federal government's list of debarred vendors, which we will check to make sure you're not, but you need to check that as well. And then saying that you will do that Form 1295 that we just talked about. And this form also requires signature, which I've also highlighted. So make sure you sign this page as well. The next page, page 28, is the deficiencies and deviations page that we talked about a minute ago. If there's something that we've asked for in this RFP and the specifications that you can't comply with, or you have some kind of difference of opinion, that kind of thing, this is where you would list that information. If there's nothing on this page, we will assume that you can comply with everything that we've required. Okay? And then last is your price proposal form. It's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. We're asking for your total hours, your hourly price, and your total fixed price. And then I will read, the financial response must set forth all costs associated with the proposed statement of work. Respondents must acknowledge that all costs, including travel, required to meet the RFP requirements have been included in the hourly and total fixed price. Any contract signed will be a fixed price contract and no other costs will be allowed or paid. Any questions on the pricing form? All right. It must be in that format. If it's not, I won't be able to evaluate your response fairly against all other responses. So make sure you put your pricing on this form. That form must be submitted. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Manius. He's going to give you a little bit of a background information and an overview of what this project entails, more about the statement of work.
So what I'm going to do is give you a little history on this project and then also go over some pages that you might have seen previously. Now's my opportunity to tell you that Tarrant County and JPS Health Network have been working very closely together. We're partners on this particular project, and that'll allow me now to introduce Scott Rule. Scott, raise your hand. Scott is the Chief of Staff for JPS, and he is part of our team. Historically, JPS has been looking at its facilities and its delivery of service for several years now. And in fact, when it came to the facilities element of it, they engaged a company called Boca. And Boca basically provided a report in 2010. And that is identified in this RFP, and it's expected that if you are going to be a successful bidder on this particular project, that you review that particular document. They reconfirmed some of the findings of that document in 2014 with the broadest report. You'll also see that identified in the RFP, and we would expect you to look at that because you're going to be making evaluations off of both of those documents as historical documents as you work with us in this particular effort. JPS is an organization that has grown, that provides services well beyond indigent care. They are the only level 1 trauma hospital in Tarrant County, and you've got to go a long way to the west before you find another one, okay? So they provide a tremendous amount of services for our communities and communities outside of Tarrant County. Just as a note, you might remember that we've had several police officers who were injured in the line of duty, who were shot. And they went to level 1 trauma at JPS, and JPS was the hospital and the services that they utilized to bring those officers back to health. And that's the type of quality that JPS provides. JPS also provides the only emergency facility for individuals suffering from mental health. And that's a key role that they play not only in this community but in surrounding communities. And we are very, very interested to make sure that our mental health facilities and the services that we provide are second to none. With that being said, in early 2016, there was an effort that JPS went through in trying to determine how they might finance some of the facilities and services that they were going to do in the future. There were town hall meetings that were held, and there was information that was gained from the citizenry at those town hall meetings that implied to us at the Commissioner's Court level that we wanted to take a step back and make sure that as we went forward with programs and facilities at JPS, that we actually encompassed all the things that we heard at these town hall meetings. And so the staff presented to the Commissioner's Court in March of this year a plan in which we were going to attempt to move forward. And that plan was one that we would have 2, possibly 3 RFPs that would focus on different areas that was believed to be critical in developing not only the delivery of services, but an analysis of our facilities and equipment, and also the location of any potentially new facilities as we went forward. Here today, we were talking about the second of those RFPs. The first RFP was for an analysis of healthcare delivery systems and mechanisms or evaluations or crystal ball viewing, if you will, of how health services are going to be delivered in the future. And as in any crystal ball, you can see clearly for the first year or two, but as we move out farther, it's not as clear. We ask in that RFP that we look out 10, 20, 30 years. And because things are simply changing on how healthcare is delivered. And also about the demographics of this county. We currently have 1.9 million people in this county, but we are expected to grow to almost 3 million people within the next 25 years. That's a lot of people, and a lot of people that need health care. And so this effort, we went ahead and contracted with a firm called Health Management Associates. For those of you who are involved in health facilities, you should very easily recognize that particular name. They are a national firm. We've been working with them now since August, and they're true professionals. They are delivering the type and quality of research that we had expected. This particular RFP that we're talking about today carries that step a little bit farther. What this RFP is requesting is that we were seeking a national firm or a nationally recognized firm to take a look at our facilities, our current facilities, working with HMA, and I'm going to come back to that collaboration with HMA, working with HMA to look at our facilities, to see if our facilities are in, or what condition our facilities are in. Is it something where that we can, in order to deliver the services that we believe that we need to deliver, that if they're adequate, they may just need renovation, or if we need to look at new structures. We also are asking that you evaluate the current equipment that we have, that if that equipment is something that can simply be refurbished, that may be one thing, but quite frankly, if we need to acquire new equipment, well then that's something we need to know. There's various items in your packet, and I'm going to go back to page 12. Jim, if you could move me to 12, that would be good. Maybe I need to move to 12. Okay. It's very important that as you look at the top of page 12, under the heading, the following issues will be considered. It goes through A through F, and it basically explains what we're looking for. To me, it's going to be critically important that you look at the various reports that have already been completed on this and analyze those reports. It's also going to be very critical that you work with HMA to understand where they're going in their analysis so that your report can complement that analysis. Our goal is to have a merging of those reports eventually that will be given to a blue ribbon committee, and which is appointed by the Commissioner's Court. There will be 10 members of that blue ribbon committee plus one, possibly two chairpersons of that committee. The Commissioner's Court has already identified and named 9 of the 10. We should have that completed within the next week or two. It's going to be important that as you go through this process that you realize that you're going to be required to make presentations to not only the Commissioner's Court, the JPS Board of Managers, but also the Blue Ribbon Committee. Their HMA's contract is one that lasts through, I believe, March of next year. So we believe that the timing of this RFP will coincide exactly to what we're looking for. And so we will be the ones, if one of your questions is how are we going to hook up basically with HMA, you'll be contacting our office, and because the county administrator's office is running point on this project. While we're in partnership with JPS on this particular activity, this is a function in an RFP by the Tarrant County Commissioner's Court. And the county administrator's office is the chief administrative officer for the court, for the county. So we will handle those contacts, initial contacts. After that point, you will not have to go through the administrator's office, but we would expect to contact HMA. But what we would expect you to do is to be on, we have a weekly briefing, and we will be establishing a weekly briefing that you will be responsible for communicating with us. It's a telephonic briefing, so you don't need to travel to Tarrant County for that briefing. As Gwen has said, there's some very strong requirements in this RFP. Just as a personal note, I've dealt with purchasing a long time, and if you think that you're going to get them to bend on any of the qualifications or the signatures, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because they're experts at what they do, and we depend on them for managing this initial step of the RFP. And with that, I will ask if there are any questions. Gwen, is that okay?
Yeah.
And remember what we said about questions. If you have a question, raise your hand, and we'll have people that come by to give you the mics, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability.
Can you please tell us approximately how many square feet or how many facilities need to be assessed as part of this evaluation of facilities?
We would say that you would need to look at all facilities that JPS currently have. When you go to these reports, you will find out that information. If that doesn't provide you the information that you're seeking, please submit a question and we will answer that specifically.
The information they're referring to is in the attachments on our website under the RFP number. There are, I think, 8 or 9 attachments, so make sure you look there. There's numerous volumes of pages there.
And the reason I didn't give you a more specific one is because there are a lot of facilities, and I didn't want to mislead you as far as the actual number of square feet. Questions?
All right, we always have to drag.
We've got a
Okay.
question over here.
Just so you know, this is your only opportunity to interact with the people who can answer your questions. You know, when you submit them in writing, we will submit a response, but it may not be exactly what you're looking for. So if you want that interaction, you need to ask your questions this morning. So we usually have to drag the questions out, and then they start flowing like crazy. So let's go.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One is, will participating on this contract prevent you from being able to participate in any future design work that comes out? And my second question is, we did a facility condition assessment of all the assets JPS owned in 2010, 2011. Do you know if any additional information beyond what was collected at that time will be required for this effort?
The answer to your first question, as far as participation in design, this would not bar any company from participating or competing to be a participant. Okay, this doesn't stop you in any way of doing that. As it relates to the 2011, Scott, do you have any information on that? Or
Sure.
you're going to need to come up here, Scott. We want to make sure everybody hears the answer. Okay.
Thanks for the question. I think there's really 2 questions there. And if I understood your question correctly, you prepared an analysis of all JPS facilities back in 2011, 2010, 2011, and want to make sure if there's anything additional that would be needed. I would answer that 2 ways. Number 1, everyone in this room will have to apply their professional judgment as to whether that analysis suits your needs in order to provide the county with the recommendations and comments that you want to provide. Secondly, obviously, there's been subsequent leases, purchases, remodelings that have happened since 2011. And so anything that happened in 2011 would at the very least need to be brought up to date. Does that help?
Are you trying to manage me?
Yes.
Okay.
So far. Other questions? Yes.
You talked about facility assessment, but I'm reading here also, it looks like potentially you're looking for maybe demographic survey or primary service area assessments, things like that, because it's talking about are there locations better suited for JPS facilities? Is that something you're also interested in?
The demographic, you can tell we're getting close to the election, right? And I bet you everybody in this room is going to be happy after 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So, the demographic data is one that is being developed by HMA. And so when we talk about your interfacing with HMA, they'll be able to provide you with a large amount of that, and you will need to depend on HMA to provide that for you and to you. That should not discourage you from having discussions. And with HMA, if you see something that they don't see, because we're expecting everyone to work on as a team so we get the best final product.
Thank you.
Questions?
Healthcare is changing dramatically, and I guess my question is the HMA report, when it surfaces, is it addressing changes that in service provision that JPS sees in the future? Obviously, facilities need to accommodate those services, but I'm just wondering if their study is analyzing service provision, how it will look in 2, 3, 5, 10 years.
Yes, sir, it is, and that, in fact, that was the primary reason for, or one of the primary reasons for the first RFP, because it's a forward-looking document, and as I said again, we would expect the successful bidder on this particular RFP to work hand in hand with the HMA.
And with that, the first RFP is posted as an attachment to this RFP, and the HMA contract that is signed is also posted there as well, so you can read that.
We have an answer to your question, sir, on the number of square feet.
Not to detract from GK's answer, because certainly you want to look at the information, the data, and the documents that are out there already. At JPS, we have a little over 3 million square feet within our network at any given time, and approximately 60 locations throughout Tarrant County.
Thank you, Scott.
Will there be a need to calculate or develop the maintenance and capital cost of the assets over a set number of years, or is it looking at only what is immediately needed to work with the recommendations of HMA?
That's a good question.
My understanding is HMA study is a long-term plan and a long-term analysis. Without a doubt, there'll be short-term, intermediate, and perhaps long-term recommendations. Don't know that, but that's what I would expect. As it relates to the immediate needs, I think there would be an analysis of capital, including construction, equipment, and all that.
This is in regards to section 4D and E regarding the locations and whether there are locations that are better suited for effective and efficient delivery of future healthcare services. Just want to confirm, is this in regards to property or sites owned by JP or by Tarrant County currently, or is this in general that are possibly not owned by JPS?
In general. It's not specifically limited to any sites that we or JPS currently own. Other questions? Okay, Gwen?
Just want to make sure there's no other questions. There's always more questions. All right, final call for questions. With that, I will ask when you leave the meeting today that you not try to talk to our county administrator's office or the JPS representative that's here, Scott. We know that you may know them, but the appearances that you may be getting inside information that other people didn't get. So we ask that you not do that. We want to have this as a very clean process, very transparent process. We do appreciate you coming out this morning. Thank you very much for doing that. And make sure you go vote tomorrow if you haven't voted already. All right. Thank you.